So I figured I'd make a quick video on this. There's so many misconceptions on this issue, and I figured why not? Let's just throw this out there and see what people say. And the question is what makes one bus worth more than another? And there's a lot of people that have different ideas on this. The one thing people have that I believe is a misconception is they say, well, this bus is more rare, so it's definitely worth more. Well, not really. So what makes one bus more rare? And one thing is, of course, desirability. It has to be desirable, but that's not even it, okay? On a project level, we're going to talk about not finished, well, even finished too, because let's say you have this camper van. It's a 61 Westphalia, so there's not very many of them in existence, and very few of them that have been restored. So yeah, and if there was none in existence and it was the only one and it wasn't desirable, then it'd be really, what's the point of restoring it? But it is pretty desirable because it is a camper and you could use it to camp and stuff, and it's pretty cool. Now, from a collector's point of view, they're probably going to have a different point of view. It's more about, rare or something like that. But, to me, it's like, what would you want like, for instance, let's talk about a panel van. So anybody ever drove a panel van? If you've ever driven a panel van, then you'd be kind of like, why would this be worth money? They suck to drive. The whole thing's made out of metal. It's noisy. It's like you can't see out of the back windows, so there's no back windows to see out of it. And especially with one of these early ones, all you have is that little bitty window back there, and there's no side windows. And you had these little tiny mirrors, the little round mirrors. And, and even with the elephant mirrors or whatever, you can't see your blind spot. There's a huge blind spot in them. So, desirable, not so much. So, for instance, I was at a show a while back, and a guy had a panel van, and it was a double door panel walkthrough, and they were like, "Oh wow, everybody, oh, that's super rare. Oh, and I want it." And the guys paid, I don't know what it was, for a super rusty walkthrough panel van project. Paid like 10 grand for it or something. And so when it's all done, is it going to be desirable? Not so much. Who the hell wants to drive it? It's all about that. The reason that people wanted one because it's, they're going to drive it at least a few times, and they want it to be a drivable, fun thing to drive when they drive it, and if it's an awful experience to drive, why the hell would you even want it? What's the point of having it? It's kind of ridiculous. So, I wanted to talk to you guys real quick about what buses, and kind of like a little bit about the chronological order and projects, and about what makes them worth something. So let's say you're looking at a project and you said, hey, what makes it worth what it's worth? So you go out, you look at a bus, and you say, hey man, that's a cool bus. It's a 13 window, or it's a 20 or 13 window, or 21 window, or whatever. And you're going, wow, it's got to be worth more. No, you know what? Stop right there. Start counting everything that's there, all the parts that are there. That's what you want to know. If it's missing half the parts, it's not worth anything, because buying all those parts is going to make it worth it's going to cost you a lot more money to build. So, for instance, when I bought this van, it didn't have any of the interior parts. So that's really a huge problem. trying to find the SO23 interior, come on, you can't do it. You can just make it out of wood. That's all you can do. So, same thing with the 13 window or 21 window. All the seats aren't there. Oh, okay. Huge cut in the price. Oh, well, wait a minute. So the guy's hoarding it because it's a 13 window, because it's worth more. Well, it probably isn't really worth more if it's missing so many parts. So, if you're a person selling your bus or whatever, or if you're a person buying one, that needs to be your determining factor when you're looking to buy it. Are the parts there? Are they missing? What's missing? So that's number one for value. So people go, well, okay, so a 13 window, so a 21 window is worth more than a 13 window. Why is that? Well, number one, of course, desirability. People want the 21 window. They wanted the windows on the roof. They wanted the sunroof. Number two, though, which is a huge number two, is it costs way more to do a 21 window than it does to do a 13 window. It's not because the project costs more. It's the labor. It's the materials. Let's talk about that. So, what happened to the 21 windows? These roof windows started to leak, right? Same thing as if you have a giant hole in your roof around right here. This is the same problem. The roof window started to leak. The water went inside. It goes down through the door. It goes down through everything. It rusts out everything below it. That's why there's so much more money. That's one of the biggest reasons there's more money. It isn't just the project price. The project price shouldn't be that much different if it had those issues, which find me one that didn't. Find me one that doesn't have a rust hole in the bottom of one of these windows. One of them. Unless it sat inside a garage, which they didn't fit in the garage. This one barely fits in the garage. I put a roof rack on it, and it will not fit in here. So, put the original roof rack on it that these had on them. They won't fit in the garage. So that's why a lot of them sat outside. These old campers did, because they didn't fit in the garage, guys. They didn't have roll-up doors in 1960s. They had wood doors. So then that wood door had about 8 inches less clearance. So buses didn't fit in the garage. So anyway, the thing is why they're worth more is because why one is worth more than another usually is because it costs more to build. 11 window, it costs you almost, it costs you about 30% less to build than a 13 window. Well, wait a minute, Mike. They only have 2 more windows. Okay, yeah, it only has 2 more windows. But now let's look at the 13 window. Let's go look at this thing. We know an 11 window. This is basically an 11 window bus with this camper kit, but it's super hard to build because trying to make it original for that is really hard. But let's look at the 13 window. So, what's on a 13 window that's not on 11 window? Number one, there's 2 more windows. There's gel bars. There's gel bar seat. Gel bars in the back. There's trim pieces. There is beauty rings. There is bumper overriders, which I have for this, but I haven't put them on yet. There is in the front bumper overriders. In the bus inside, there is a clock. Okay, there is a clock. There is a Deluxe steering wheel horn button. There was chrome flippers on 66 and 67. Chrome. If you had the earlier model, it had chrome levers. Not available anymore, guys. Can't buy them used. Can't buy them rebuilt. Had a chrome ashtray. Okay. It also had 2-tone interior, which was available, which was also on the. This is not original, but 2-tone interior, which was also on. These should have been chrome too. I had chrome It had two-tone interior, which they also had on the standard buses, which makes them harder or more expensive to build than a combi. That's why they cost more. Which had also, the Deluxe had chrome here, chrome handles, not painted. It also had these straps were on 11 windows, or not, were not on 11 windows, because they had the rubber stops here in the middle of the door. Well, you can't have them on here because there's chrome there. So those are some of the things. So yes, it costs more to build one of these. You got to buy the chrome. You got to buy all the missing parts. You got to buy all this stuff, that old NOS parts. You got to pay twice as much for your door handles and your flippers. And so the point is, when you buy a 13 window, if it's missing the chrome emblem, the chrome pieces, any of those parts, you should be able to buy it for the same price as you buy an 11 window. But some dumbasses are selling these things for, people are, well, I mean, the people selling them, that's not their fault. Some dumbasses are buying them because it's a 13 window with all those parts missing, when, damn, why don't you just buy an 11 window and put another piece of glass in it? I mean, you got all the other parts to buy. So it's really not worth any more. And, the shell itself doesn't make it, oh, well, the numbers on it make it, come on, that's a bunch of crap. Yeah, I've heard of people renumbering them and all kinds of stuff. So, or buying the panel that has the numbers on it, and, oh, that one has to be replaced. And, okay, so the point is look, you guys, if you're buying one of these things, and you're paying more for it because it's a 13 window and it's missing all those parts, you're really getting ripped off. Okay, don't buy it. Buy an 11 window. Put the damn windows in it and just call it a 13 window. Whatever. Do it for yourself. If you're doing it for the gold mine to get rich, don't do it. Don't buy these things as a gold mine. It's not cool. It's stupid, because the bottom could fall out, of this stuff, and you'll be stuck with a bus. It's, because you've paid too much. On the project level, these things are way overpriced. On the finished level, I don't think the price of them is going to go down. Why? Because it costs so much to build one. The price of rebuilding one of these things is not going to go down in price. The cost of parts is not going to go down in price. As years go on, there's going to be more and more of these things destroyed. You get in a car wreck in one of these things, the person dies, and the bus is totaled. So there's going to be less of them in 10 years than there is now. It's just attrition tells you that. So the point is, you guys, so same thing with the 21 window, 23 window. 23 window has more parts. The bus is older. The parts are more expensive because they're more rare. There's less of them. There's less of them to manufacture. The manufacturing costs more for them to build. So, they can't do as many in a run. So the runs cost more when you're doing manufacturing. So that's what makes them worth more. It's not, oh, I got a 13 window project, so it's worth more than an 11 window project. Well, does it have the clock? Oh, no. Does it have the middle seat? No, it doesn't have that. Oh, does it have the rear seat with the gel bar holes in it? Nope, doesn't have that. Doesn't have any gel bars? Nope, no gel bars. Does it have any in the chrome handles? No, it doesn't have any of those. Come on, you guys, think about this for a second. That's where you're getting hosed. You're getting hosed because it's missing a million of the parts that make it what it is. So you're basically paying more for a shell because of the numbers. If you're going to pay more for the numbers, just buy the numbers, for God's sakes. It's just, this is just getting ridiculous. This bus here, the reason it's worth more than other buses is because it had some of the really vital parts. The wood I can remake. The hatch, hell no. Try and make one of those hatches that matches that thing. All the aluminum parts for the hatch were there. The a lot of the important parts were here. Okay, the wood was all missing. The wood, can I make it? Yeah, but some of the metal hardware pieces, no. So, but I can make them pretty close. So I'm going to do as close as I can, and get it as close as I can. So those are all the things you need to weigh out when you're buying something. Not, oh, I'll buy one. I want to buy a 13 window because it's worth more. 21 window. You know, geez, just put a damn roof on it. If you know, guys are taking these right here, and they're taking 11 windows, putting belly pans on them. They're putting this window in. They're putting this window in. They're putting the big window in the back. They're grafting them in, and from the inside or outside, you cannot tell the difference. They're butt welding them in. They are absolutely perfect. These guys, some of these guys doing these things are so good at this, and then they just get VIN numbers, you know, from a real car, and there's so much metal work done. So let's say the difference between that and a regular 23 window is basically numbers, because when you buy a 23 window and it has the proper numbers on it and it is a real 23 window, guess what you're going to be replacing? All the roof metal. So are you really going to be able to tell if you did it right, replacing all the roof metal, or having a guy who put in all aftermarket metal and did it just as nice as you fixing all your roof? Honestly, no. And is it going to be worth more because it's a actual, you know, that's kind of an emotional attachment at that point. You know, worth more because I just know it was an original when I got it. So it makes me feel better knowing that it was the original bus. Well, these are all original buses. So, you know, it's just about cost and work. I'm not saying I would go out and buy one and then fake in a roof and tell them, oh, no, it's a 23 window, and go revent it. I'm not saying I would do that. I wouldn't. Because I'll build it as 11 window. I like 11 windows. I think they're cool. I mean, so, you know, guys that are in it for the money is what I'm talking about. The guys who are in it for the money are going to stamp the freaking roof. They're going to stamp the side windows. They're going to stamp the corner windows. And when they're done, you will not be able to tell anywhere, nothing, that bus is not original, because they butt weld them in. I've seen the work on some of these things, and they're just fabulous. I mean, there's no, you know, so what is the difference between that and the other? Well, it's basically an emotional value. Well, it makes me feel better because it's the original metal, original bus. So I'm just saying, guys, you know, when you're buying one of these things, look at the completeness of the bus, look at the completeness of the project. Buy it because it's got all the parts, not because it's worth this, because it's one of these. Okay, whatever that is, 11 window, 23 window, SO23, camper van, caravel camper, whatever you think you got. You know, make it what you want and enjoy it. All right, talk to you in the next video.